Jefferson basketball documentary together, and we're really excited to get you guys sat down. Craig Johnson, right here from Wayzata, of course, Jack Evans, Bloomington Jefferson, Bob Savary from Edina, and Whitey Johnson from Armstrong. Let me just start with, just tell me about yourself and your coaching career. Let's start with Craig.
Okay, well, I went to college at Moorhead, Concordia, and my dad was a coach in Benson. And so people always say, you're going to be a coach like your dad? You're going to be a teacher? And I always say, no, I don't think so, you know. And then all of a sudden I'm in college, and they're telling you to pick a degree. I didn't know what to do. So I said, yeah, I'll go to physical education and maybe I'll coach. And so it was kind of by chance more than, you know, a big major plan in my life. But I loved it. You know, I always said coaching it's just like going to college. You know, coaching and teaching, I mean, it was no different. I never felt there was a real job, you know. It was just kind of fun. Just do it, and you're around kids, you're around the sport, and people say that it's so cold in Minnesota, and I'd say it's warm in the gym. And that's the way I approached it. I just loved it. And I was at small school. I was at Bertha Hewitt a couple of years, Pelican Rapids a couple of years, Crookston a couple of years. Went to the U for a year, and then I went to Superior. And I didn't meet Jack because Jack had just left. When did you leave, Jack?
64, something like that.
64. Okay, I came there in 67.
Did you and Satterone come the same time?
Yes, yeah. And we flipped a coin, and he got hockey, and I got basketball. But yeah, we came the same year, and we left the same year too. No, excuse me. He was there a little bit longer than I was. He came earlier, but we had a lot of strikes.
Yeah,
we had 2 strikes the second year, and that was frustrating. The first one I didn't mind. It was in the fall. You could golf, you know, instead of picket line business, and you could have a good time doing that. But then in the winter, the same year, we had a strike, and that wasn't so good. I didn't like that. I didn't take that too well. I said, I'm leaving. And I was lucky to get a job, and I ended up at Wayzata.
What year was that?
That was 69, 70 school year. So that's a quick...
Coach Savary.
Well, I grew up on the Iron Range at Buell, and Buell's a small town, but they'd won the state twice back, and when I was in 4th and 5th grade. So, I mean, that town was basketball crazy, you know, and so it just, you know, something that people still talk about today. In fact, one of the guys on that team I saw this summer, he's 92 right now, and he's about there's only 2 of them left. But anyway, I finished high school there, and at that time, everybody on the range went to junior college. We had 5 junior colleges on the range, and it was just a natural thing. Our high school provided a bus for us, and so we were over there every day and played football, basketball, and ran a little track and played a little golf, even though I don't want to brag about that, though. But then after there, I went to Luther College down in Decorah, Iowa, before I finished up down there. And then I spent 2 years in the Army, and I got my first teaching and coaching job in Chatfield, Minnesota, down south of Rochester. And I was just looking for assistant jobs. That's what I thought. Assistant football, assistant basketball. That's what I'd love to have. And so superintendent called me down in Fort Bliss, Texas, and offered me the job. I had not applied, and it sounded good. I had the senior high math, which I wanted, and then I got there, and then he said, by the way, you're head baseball coach. Oh yeah? I didn't know that. And he said, but baseball's not really that big here. In fact, the first year I only had 2 seniors starting, but we ended up winning the conference the next 4 years. Went to the region. We lost to Austin 3-2 in the region finals back in '57, so we just about made it, extra innings. So then I went to the university, mathematics deal for a year, and then I came to Edina in '61. 'N. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. 61. Well, I had some football, basketball, and baseball starting in '64. And then I assisted Dwayne when we had the state championship teams. And then and Jerry Rodberg had been there before me, so I assisted Jerry for 3 years until we split the schools and Jerry took west and I took east. And then I was there for 17 years. 9 at East and then 8 more back at the one school. So that's kind of my career. And then I retired back in 1990, and I can't believe it's almost 30 years. Well, and now we have a home up where our cabin used to be up near Longville, Minnesota, and we go to Arizona in the wintertime. I run the senior golf league for 29 years up at Longville, and I run the golf league down in Arizona too. So that's kind of my present job.
What year did Edina go into 2 schools?
We went to 2 schools in 1972. So 72, 73 was the first year of the split. And we were split for 9 years.
Right.
Came back in 81, 82. Is that right?
That's right.
Yeah, yep. Okay.
Whitey, your background as a coach.
Yeah, well, Jack and I go back to our Wisconsin days. Jack from Superior, myself from Eau Claire. That's where I grew up, and they're both, at that time, were really athletic towns.
Well, wait a second, you gotta mention our earlier introduction to each other.
Oh, geez. Well, I was born in Benson, Minnesota, and that's where Craig is from.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah.
Really? I didn't know that.
But my folks only lived there for 2 years, and then they moved to Wisconsin. My dad was a baker, and he bought a bakery, and my mother ran the front. And, so Craig and I are friends.
4th grade.
4th grade, my
I didn't
folks
know
bought
that.
this bakery and had nothing, no car, no house. And so they sent myself and my brother to our 2 grandmothers in Benson. We lived there with those grandmothers for a year. And that's where I met Craig, because Craig was in the same grade that I was in. And we ended up playing, I think it was like a halftime basketball game, and Craig was in the other 4th grade, and I was there were 2 4th grades. And so that's where we started battling each other, and and it led to coming to Minnesota after my career in Eau Claire, which was very fortunate. We won the state basketball tournament in 1955. We also went there my sophomore year, and I was blessed to having been chosen to play on the National High School All-American football game in Memphis, Tennessee, my senior year. So I really had a lot of fun.
You did the right thing by going to Eau Claire, Whitey.
Yeah. Craig always tells me that if I'd have stayed in Benson, he had a real good club, and all he needed was a point guard. And of course, the Meslo boys in Chippewa Falls, I don't know if you guys know them, I lived there for 10 years. And Bob and John Meslo said the same thing. Geez, if you wouldn't have moved to Eau Claire, we could have used you as a point guard. So anyway, a great experience there with a wonderful town with a YMCA that just throbbed. I mean, it was and Jack can contest to that. I mean, it was a wonderful factory of athletes, and both. There was only one high school, and then there was the parochial school, which is now Regis High School. So from there, I had to make a decision on college, and boiled down to Wisconsin or Minnesota. And I had an opportunity to go to Wisconsin, and that was mainly for basketball. And one of my highlights there was having dinner with Ivy Williamson, the athletic director, and Alan Amici. Remember him, the football?
The horse.
The horse.
Yep.
And that was pretty impressive. And then I got back to Eau Claire, and Charlie Menzel, my brother-in-law now, we married sisters, got a hold of me and said, "You're going to Minnesota." And it was getting down to tight timeline. And so I went up there, made a trip, and Charlie took me around. And it's a lot closer than Madison. And So I ended up going there, and at that time, Wisconsin basketball was going through some tough times. And Minnesota, on the other hand, was doing quite well in the Big Ten, and ended up that in regards to playing on a team between those two schools, my timing was good to go to Minnesota because of the nature of the program. So then I got out of the U there, and like Craig, went into physical education, got my master's, and took a job at Golden Valley High School, which is now Breck. And that was good. It was a smaller high school in the metropolitan area, and was there for 4 years, had some good kids, and that got me a job in the Robbinsdale schools. So after 4 years, I went to Cooper High School, brand new. Everything was brand new, but no players, you know.
That's a problem.
Yeah, that is a problem. No animals, no zoo, you know. I mean, so, you know, those kids were great. I mean, I was telling Craig on the way over here that playing Edina during the Bagleen years, and he was, you know, in the middle of that 65-game winning streak, and
69.
is that 69? So we had a week to prepare for him, and I decided I was going to hold the ball, which was a big mistake. So we held it, and we were only 6 down at half, and our team was so fired up, it was like 20-14. And he's got Zender and, you know, Schallhaus and Wright and all those guys. And leave it to Dwayne, he puts on a full court zone trap, and it ends up he beats me by 45. But anyway, for a half, we did pretty good. So then after Cooper's, we went to the state there. We won the conference in 73, which is a good year, good kids, you know, obviously. And then we went to the state in 75, which was a great experience. We lost to Little Falls, the eventual champion, in the semis, and then beat Mankato for 3rd place. So we really had a great experience at the state. And then after 12 years, I went to Armstrong, and there were animals there. So the zoo was doing well.
Right.
And we had some good teams and a good record, thoroughly enjoyed it. And then after 6 years, I became the athletic director and was named the district athletic director, and did that for 10 years and retired in 94. So if you do the math, this is my 25th year of retirement, and it's hard to believe that. So that's kind of a short story.
All right, another question. You guys can just jump in. Who were your coaching mentors, and why?
Well, no question for me, it had to be Dwayne Bagleen. I mean, I considered him, you know, way up here, and it was always so interesting the way he approached things. He knew, for example, two of the guys he mentioned, Jeff Wright, he'd never say a harsh word to Jeff. He'd just let him go. Kurt Schellhaus would have a great first half, and at halftime, Baggy would just chew him out anyway, you know, and that made him better. And so he knew how to handle this kid, how to handle that kid, and I was just impressed by all the things that he did as a coach. Yep.
Craig, coaching mentor.
Yeah, I had a couple that were retired coaches, and they went into administration. So I was at Bertha Hewitt, as I said. There's a fellow named Jim Hill, and he had been at Pelican, and he had been at, he ended up being a superintendent in Little Falls. But anyway, you know, I knew what I didn't know. And so he was good to me. We had a small teacher's lounge, and I'd sit and wait for him to come in because I'd pepper him with basketball and, you know, just get some background, some things. I didn't know what a zone offense, you know, how you set it up, how you play it. I guess I proved that. You guys would all agree with that. But I never had a specific coach or mentor. But I think you pick up, you know, the neat thing. Maybe these guys could add to this. But the neat thing about coaching in the Lake Conference in those years in 70 and 80 and so forth, is we were such good friends. I mean, it was coaching each other to win, and you know, you knew you were going to battle each night. But then after the game, you know, we'd get together with our families, their wives, and really have a good time and get to know each other. And you'd talk about the game or what did you guys do against Park and so forth and so on. It was just great.
And I remember one night we were at somebody's house, I don't know, and you said, that was the red division, and you said, let's call Augie and find out what the blue division's doing tonight.
Yeah, we did. We called him and we were having a pop and stuff, and he said, what are you doing? I said, oh, we're just visiting. We just got a party. You want to talk to so forth Saturday? So we passed the phone around, and he was sitting at home in the other division, because we had done this prior to splitting. So we just were the new guys on the block and worked out pretty good.
I keep telling my son about the time back in the Lake Conference. We came in and we got together twice a year, I think it was, and the Y's were there. And I thought that was just great because you know, the Y's sometimes will pick apart the coach and don't like him too all the way, and he's all right. And so they don't have that kind of situation now, different conferences, but that was, to me, the nicest move.
Yeah.
Pretty unique, wasn't it, when you think about it?
Well, my wife used to, she really disliked Lloyd Holm, you know, watching him on the sidelines and everything. And then he ended up going to our church, and she got to know him. And he's a pretty good guy.
Whitey, how about a coaching mentor for
Yeah.
you when you were a young guy coming up?
Yeah, you know, the first thing that came to my mind was that Eau Claire YMCA, and Jack knows what I'm talking about. And a guy by the name of Clayton Anderson. Did you know Andy?
Yeah.
And he wasn't a coach, he was kind of the director of the Y. And I can remember walking into the Y many times, and he'd greet me, and then he'd say, "Are you in shape?" You know, and he'd get on me a little bit, and he was just a physical person, just really fit. And I always respected him. He died an early death, and he still has the Clayton Anderson golf tournament in Eau Claire in honor of him. So he had just had so much respect. And then I had a really good junior high coach, Kevin, by the name of Wally Lehman. Remember the Lehman boys? And Wally had this big foghorn voice, and he let you know if he didn't like what you were doing. And he taught me a lot about respect for my teammates, for the officials, and for the coach. And I look back on that, and I find that kind of interesting because, you know, I'm in 7th or 8th grade, and that made such an impact on me that I'm bringing it up to you today.
Yeah.